Good afternoon, everybody. It's Randy Byrd. It's Tuesday, 11 a.m. Pacific time, and I am live here with the North American Vision Panel. And unfortunately for us today, unfortunately, Facebook Live is not working with Zoom. Zoom is being overwhelmed. I've got multiple messages about them basically slowing down their bandwidth trying to keep up. So I think it's probably related. I apologize to anybody that was there live. I will post this just as soon as the meeting's over. But with that, welcome everybody. Thanks for being here today. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we have a smaller, little intimate group, and it's just us. Nobody will see this. So we can just be more candid and be open and just tell it like it is. But so let's start. Obviously, this week, California got named as an essential state. A couple other states did. Maybe you guys can give an update of what's going on in your particular areas.
Yeah, well, so I'll speak for California. We were really glad. We were happy that it was named essential. It really doesn't change anything, though, as far as the health and the safety of ourselves, our staff, our clients, and others. It just does give us a little bit more bandwidth so we can meet with our client. We can't hold open houses. That's still off. And but we can show properties when the client requires and requests a showing after they do their virtual tour. Right. We keep our social distance, obviously, with gloves. And the same token with listings, with sellers, for example, I'm going on a listing appointment today, 89-year-old seller. So obviously he's not going to be listing online. So I'll go meet with him, keep that social distance and help him out. So we were glad to see that. So it was encouraging, but home buyers are buying, sellers are selling, just, still listing a lot of homes, working with a lot of buyers. I kind of get a kick out of people say, oh, great, I'm glad there's shelter in place because now I can read the books that, I catch up on or clean the garage. Well, not for me. I've been super busy. So that's an update from Northern Cal.
Right. I appreciate that. Anybody else? What's the market update and what's going on for you guys? Anything new since our last call?
I have a comment. I feel like I saw a post from another real estate agent this morning, and she said, hey, people think of real estate and sometimes they see $1 million listing. They see these shows in the portrayal that we are really just non-essential. And so us being deemed essential is shocking to them. And she gave a bunch of examples. And I just thought, how well put. She said, you're not thinking about the 80-year-old who falls down the stairs and has to sell their home they have to get the money out of their house to get into care. The woman that has to get out of an abusive situation at home for her kids. Like, there are so many situations that are essential that we deal with as real estate agents every single day. And so for a lot of the people that are basically saying, like, I'm putting my business on hold, what you're also saying to your clients that are in emergency situations is that you're not there for them. So I feel like you can be very socially responsible and still be a pillar in your community and still be able to support the people who do have a need to move, right? And I think you guys already know that is my opinion, but even more today than ever, I feel that way. And we're continuing to do that in the Washington, D.C. market. We're not doing open houses. We're doing virtual open houses. Right. We are continuing to do showings. We are continuing to do settlements. Like, everything else is proceeding. And we're doing that carefully, but quickly, because the market's moving.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I appreciate that. That's a great, piece of information for people. I've heard everything, right? All ends of the spectrum. Some brokers are telling their agents they're not allowed to go and meet with people physically. And there's some people really a little cavalier about it, frankly, and not being safe. So we've got all sides of it, but I appreciate you. Obviously you are a pillar in the real estate world, and to hear it from you is valuable. So I appreciate that. Anybody else have any, opinions of what's going on out there and any further comments?
Yeah, I have something I want to offer as far as rentals. I don't know how many of you do rentals, but in our area, it's pretty hot, long term, short term. And the governor, as of yesterday, stopped vacation rentals altogether, just put a stop to it. And
Interesting.
and the reason for that is because we get a lot of influx from people from all over the world actually coming here, and that's trying to control the virus coming in,
Right.
even though he hasn't put a shelter in place totally for the state of Florida.
Right.
He did for South Florida because those pocket areas are where most of the virus is. But I mean, this goes throughout the state of Florida. No more short-term rentals for a while. So
Interesting. So
long
moratorium
Did they
on
put a time
those.
frame on that, Kim?
I'm sorry, what?
Did they put a time frame on that, or is that just indefinite?
He said about 2 to 3 weeks, but I feel like it's going to be longer because, again, we have a lot of golf courses here. We have the ocean here.
Yeah.
It's a very affluent area in the area that I live. And I mean, we're constantly doing short-term rentals, and it's a huge market, and people will pay $3,500 a week, $10,000 a week. I mean, whatever we have to offer. So it's a big market, and it's his way of controlling it, and I agree with that because we need to do that. And I'm a little hesitant about going out and showing short-term rentals, which evolve into long-term situations a lot of times, because what people do here is they'll come for a couple of years in a row, and then eventually they'll buy something. So
Gotcha.
it is a residual income for a lot of us.
And obviously, Kim, the news is talking about how many people are coming from New York down into Florida. And we've got Elizabeth on the line from New York, so I'd love to get her take on it too, to follow up with you. But I mean, boots on the ground, or what's going in the real estate market around that particular subject? Does it seem like it's that big of a deal out there for you?
It is definitely a big deal. Matter of fact, the interstates are stopped. I mean, they have patrolmen and the highway patrolmen stopped, and they're stopping people coming in all different directions because, we come in from I-10, we come in from 95, we come in from the Atlanta area, and we get a lot from South Florida. So we're in like 4 or 5 different areas where they're trying to stop them physically and talk to them.
Right.
And, it's just really interesting. And they've been doing news broadcasts from the interstates, and they're saying, don't come here. You're going to be stopped, and it's hours and hours before you can go through. So I think what's ultimately going to happen, and this is my prediction, the governor's probably going to say everybody's going to shelter in place and we're done. And it's coming, I think, to that.
It seems like they're coming out at 2 or 3 weeks at a time, then it goes longer than it's,
Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate that.
Sure.
Miss Elizabeth,
Hi there.
how are you?
I'm good. I actually had a little trouble getting in after all, but I finally got here. So, just to further to Kim's point, like what we're seeing out in the Hamptons.
Can you lean up a little bit, Elizabeth? I'm sorry.
What we're seeing out in the Hamptons is a lot of rentals. Our databases have been updated to show rentals for like the month specifically of April and May, something that we never had before. And that's because so many people are just leaving the city, calling up and saying, I'm coming out and renting houses without even seeing them, just to get away.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not, I don't know of as many people who headed out to Florida, although I know I've read the same stuff. But it's just, a big thing in New York. I mean, my building right now, half the people have left.
Is that right?
Yes. And I just spoke to another friend this morning, and she said her building is dead also. Just anyone who can get out just doesn't want to be here.
So, Elizabeth, are agents still trying to show properties and work through a virtual means at all in New York? I've heard multiple reports.
So only virtual. I mean,
Strictly. So writing offers without seeing the property, contingent of viewing it later.
And yes, but viewing later is really, until the emergency
How later?
in New York is lifted, there are no showings, and there is a really hefty $2,000 fine if an agent does show and is reported. I mean, in New York City, even if you wanted to show, you couldn't get into a building. I mean, the doorman wouldn't let you in.
Right.
Buildings all have set up rules. They just don't want anybody.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
The Hamptons, it's the same situation in terms of that. I mean, it's all, it's all virtual.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Lincoln and Mike, we haven't heard from you. Maybe you can give us an update. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Sure.
Yeah, I can chime in really quickly here. Our market, we're seeing a lot more listings come up. I guess, the initial shock of the first few weeks there has kind of lifted slightly. So all of a sudden there's a bunch of new listings, many different numbers from all over. There's so many different boards here, but we're still seeing it's about a 79% drop in sales.
Gotcha. And so you guys typically run a little behind the United States, correct? Both with, you see the mortgage industry, everything kind of follows a couple weeks to a month later in Canada. So that kind of be a normal trajectory, would you say?
I would, yeah. And I think that what's going to be happening in the next 2 weeks is we're going to see more areas. They said they're hoping to see it peak in the next 2 weeks. But if they don't, they're going to start imposing more stricter rules. Like they went from 10 people to 5 without a fine now. So if you're in groups of more than 5, they'll give you $1,000 fine.
I got you.
Same with certain businesses and stuff like that. If they're doing stuff they're not supposed to, there's $10,000 fines and things like that. So they're imposing a lot more restrictions.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just what's happening.
All right. And then your numbers this week, any idea what's going on with the market this week in terms of traction? I know you got more listings coming.
Yeah. The hard part is trying to find that balance between the message of being like Carrie, your great advice about finding people who really need to move. So I've switched a lot of my messaging to be, hey, look, if you don't have to move, don't move. But if you do have to move, get in touch. So it's sifting through all of that. Yeah, because we have some schedules that have been sent out by our local real estate board, and so we have schedules saying everybody's got to sign schedules before they go in. And who knows? I mean, schedules can be thrown out the door later on, and people can be found liable. So you got to tread on it carefully and make sure that you're doing what's comfortable in your due diligence.
What's a schedule?
So a schedule would be something that's attached to the offer. So like a schedule A or B. What would yours be called there?
Well, probably addendums.
Yeah, an addendum. Exactly the same thing.
Because you guys don't have escrow. Everything goes through attorneys there.
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
Yeah. So basically we have to be very careful because, if I go, hey, yeah, sure, go. They decide they looked at my virtual walkthrough and they say, hey, we want to go see it. And then somebody gets sick. We don't know what the implications would be with that later.
And that leads into my next question I'll get to in just a minute, Lincoln, but thank you so much for that update. Mike.
Yeah, business is pretty much usual here. We're down about 20%, 30% in some areas. It's like some of the higher priced areas, believe it or not. But I manage 600 properties, so all this rental talk freaks me out. So tomorrow's a pretty epic day for us to see what's going to happen. And there's still a lot of talk.
You mean time of month rent and stuff?
Yeah, tomorrow's the first, so we're gonna see the true impact of the last few weeks leading up. So like I've been begging for this day to come because this is going to, at least for me, give me a good indicator of what's going to happen in the market for a long time. And so right now we're just trying to educate agents mostly. Everybody's hopefully practicing their safeness. I showed 2 homes to 10 different people yesterday, gloves on, masks on, out of the house, the whole thing. But like Carrie was talking about earlier, we are very essential. Like in my leasing company, we have leases that are up, people that have to move in this house, people that have to move. So it's a real thing for us, especially with that much movement going on. So, the people that don't want to move, that are scared, we're having to have real conversations with them. It's a very, very trying time for us with the property management company. But as far as sales go, our lender just gave us an update right now. Everything's still fine for lending, so that's cool. Multiple offers still in some areas in some of my listings. I still took 2 or 3 listings this week, which is about half of what it should be. But I'm telling people that don't have to move, let's hold off for a couple of weeks and, see where this goes. If something changes, let me know. I'm taking all the listings, but I'm just putting them on hold. I don't want to have them wandering off. But more importantly, we're doing a lot of damage control with agents right now. Hundreds and hundreds of agents that I work with are in panic mode. They're losing hope. They're getting distracted. They're talking about getting out of the business. So we're trying to salvage all that. And my biggest piece of advice right now is hang out with really good agents that have been through Hurricane Katrina, earthquake in Southern California, recessions. Stick with the agents that really know what they're doing right now, because it seems like we're the only ones with solid head on our shoulders that are not panicking. But a lot of the agents that are newer are just like, nothing's working. Nothing we're doing is working, unless they have really good coaches already and they're already surrounded by stuff. So I'm just like, man, hang in there, guys. This is okay. We have scripts for everything. We have situations for everything. We can get through this all together. Let's just hang in there.
Some amazing advice, actually, Mike. And the fact that you have the property management company, that is a true another element to weave into this whole need versus want, time frame that we're in.
Yeah, and that's what I'm telling the buyers. Like, you have to look at my virtual tour. And I'm telling the agents that I know aren't that experienced, force your clients to pause and look at every bedroom. My son, who's my videographer, is doing every single bedroom right now, every single crevice, every single closet. So it's very, very complete. And I'm just telling the agents, look, you guys have to use your head right now. Tell your buyers, I know the movies are closed down and this is not an alternative. This is for people that have to be moving.
Yeah.
And if and my team, same thing, only work with people that have to move. People that are contemplating moving are looky-loos right now. Let's not even deal with them.
Yeah, that's such a great piece of advice. I appreciate that, man. So leads me to my next question. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is probably a great opportunity for people that use Matterport videos, because you can go to every corner and every crevice if you use that.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was a couple of people talking recently about how much of those companies are really starting to take off. You got the Zoom and the obvious ones, but Matterport and other softwares that will take incredible inside videos. But I just had one of the top agents in California talk to yesterday, and he goes, for a week, we couldn't do anything. So I had my sellers taking the pictures for us. And he goes, it was horrible. It was like a horror show trying to deal with the photos that were coming from the sellers. And I was like, it's understandable, right? But at least everybody had the same problem at the same time. So it made it maybe not as important. But so question for the panel, and I'll take whoever first. Now we got about 10 minutes left. I'm going to go hard stop 11:30. I really value all your time, and we could talk for hours. So 30 minutes. I'm going to be a good narrator and keep us to that. So if we could keep our answers kind of brisk as we go through the questions. But my question is this: there's a lot of conversation around COVID-19, disclosures, the liability side, the E&O side. I know we have a couple broker owners on the line, and we have some other people that are in a large company, but the disclosures in those pieces are one thing. What's your take on the disclosures and allowing people into the houses, and how are you mitigating that from a top agent perspective?
I'll start. As a broker owner, I think it's case by case, because I think you have to set the tone for the transaction. We had a situation a couple of weeks ago where the seller wanted everybody to sign an addendum, an agreement, that if anybody got sick,
not his deal.
Yeah. I
Right.
mean, and we're like, whoa, wait a minute. That's not a good tone to set when you're going into the situation. So I think it's up to the agents. And another thing that we're seeing here, the listing agents are not present at the showings. If a buyer's agent calls to protect themselves, fewer people there, better.
Right.
We can do it virtual with the buyer, but the buyer wants to go, the buyer's agent wants to go, and let them decide on what addendums if they need to. But I think it's case by case for me as an independent.
Okay, thank you for that. Next.
I can add in something quick here. We have, like I said, those schedules that we're using that they have to sign, but who knows later if something happens. I mean, I've seen those types of things just get thrown out before.
Right.
So what I'm doing is I'm fielding all the calls. So I get the agent that's booking it has to give me a quick call or message me, and I send them a walkthrough personal one that I did. And then when they go shoulder property, I have boot covers, like shoe covers, the ones, the blue ones that go over top.
Yeah.
We have those ones, and we have some gloves and some hand sanitizer stuff that they can do before they get in, so they're not removing shoes and they're not really touching anything other than just going into like walking in the door and walking around the house. So,
did you guys require a COVID-19 disclosure or?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Lincoln. I appreciate that. Anybody else? Carrie, what are you seeing? You have a large team.
Yeah, I fall more into Kim's category, so we're not requiring it. I think in my experience working for other brokerages, sometimes they forced us to do it one way because they were just so focused on liability and protecting themselves that they made it difficult to complete transactions. And that's not what I want to do right now. I want to support the clients that are nervous already in getting comfortable with the move that they need to make. I don't want to have a bunch of people renting because they just feel overwhelmed. And I don't think that the liability, and this is just me, I don't think that the liability is going to come down to us, right? I think that we are, if we're practicing being very safe about how we're doing things and we're doing our best, like if there really is a shutdown, right? If we really cannot get to closing, the buyer and seller are going to have to work together.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's absolutely true.
I'll add to that real quick. Most of you know I had a brokerage that I was the actual broker for 300 agents for 5 years. I learned a lot during that time, and I'll just put my broker hat on for a few seconds. And at some point during this transaction, before the inspection contingencies are up, it's going to be just a really simple addendum saying, look, we're in uncharted waters. Buyer and seller both realize that we're going through COVID-19, buyer to investigate, seller to disclose, and just say, we don't know what's going to happen, but as a real estate broker, we are going to tell you that this is your one chance or your chance through this escrow to understand this, research anything you want, and deal with it that way. But there is going to be something in writing saying we're going through these trying times, and buyer and seller both need to figure this out right now.
And it sucks we have to talk about it, but we know it's going to come up sometime down the road in a couple of years, right? It almost seems like it's just another open-ended liability, but I appreciate the different perspectives of it. So anybody else want to add to that? Okay.
Just yesterday on the way that agents are feeling, I interviewed one of my agents. He's 22 years old. He's done 9 transactions in 12 weeks.
Wow.
With a couple of the weeks being, very uncertain times. And so if people are looking for inspiration and motivation and to hear like the actual how people are succeeding, I'm happy to share that interview because I know that people are succeeding. And so whatever you can take to figure out how to have the conversations the right way to succeed, even if that means succeeding is doing everything 100% virtual, okay, great. Then go out and talk about how you're going to do that because you want to attract the people who need you.
I love that, Carrie. Thank you for that. And if you would share it to the group, I know everybody would be grateful for that.
Sure.
And I just got off my coaching call with Bill Pipes, and he's got an initiative where they're doing no zero April, meaning no agents left behind in the month of April. Everybody's going to get a transaction in April. And that inspired me. And I took like 10 pages or 10 items of notes after that conversation. There's ways to navigate this. And I'm glad you brought that up because it's easy to go down the rabbit hole of so much precaution and so much concern, right? But at the end of the day, people need to buy and sell, and we need to navigate and mitigate those the best we can. So I appreciate that so much.
The other thing I will say, and then I'll be done.
Yeah.
The other thing I will say is you have to look at your individual finances, right? So some people are just digging their head in the sand and pretending this isn't happening, and I don't think that's the approach. If you're going to just sit it out on the sidelines and you can't afford to do that, then you need to do something. As Mike said, you need to surround yourself with people who have been in crisis before, people who know how to navigate it and still get results, because you can't put yourself and your family in a situation where you can't pay your bills out of fear.
I love that. His thing was, number one, we have a primary responsibility to yourself and your family, number one. right? But I love that, Carrie. Thank you so much. So we've got 3 minutes left. And Carrie, we can start with you since you're highlighted on my screen. What's your one takeaway from this week to keep agents focused on the hope, the belief, the optimism, the opportunities?
I think collaboration with others right now is critically important. So whatever you can do to get positivity, like I'm doing a 5-day challenge right now, and I actually am retraining all of my agents. I just said, hey guys, let's get on 2 hours. So whatever you can do to collaborate with people and get together and challenge yourself to do certain activities and be really strategic and really specific, like do it. Right. Take the time to increase your skill level now and your action.
I love it. Thank you for that. Next one, 30-second wrap up. Who wants to go?
Okay, I'll go.
Okay,
we just have to remember that this is a marathon. A lot of agents train like, previously, like they were going to do a 5K. Well, we need to throw our old gold plans away for the year and start new. We need to be realistic that things have changed. And this is a marathon, and we have to be consistent and persistent every single day, taking the right actions with the right people, with the right mindset. So
I love that, Tom. And obviously it says #1 real estate team, #1 in the world for Keller Williams multiple times. So we appreciate your input on that. We got some horsepower on the call. Anybody want to add anything as we wrap up?
Yeah, so I'd actually like to, as I said, right now we can't do any like physical showings.
Yeah.
So the two things that I'm feeling, one, to just do as many things as I can do right now to help my business. And the other thing that we know, as soon as we're allowed back into properties, there's going to be so much pent up demand because the buyers can't buy and the sellers can't have their properties shown. So
right.
Once
it's going to be the wild, wild west when this is over.
It definitely will. They'll be knocking down the doors. So
right. I appreciate it. Elizabeth, thank you. Stay safe and God bless you because, we all care about you a lot in New York and it's the epicenter right now. So, all right. Anybody else like to wrap up with some words of hope and motivation?
Yeah, I'll give my weekly script. You guys know, I think I mentioned it last week. I've been on so many Zooms, I can't remember everything, but I'm trying to send anywhere from 25 to 50 to 100 videos a day. And last week's theme was, hey guys, if you need help, if your family needs help, if you need supplies, anything delivered, we're 100% here for you. But this week when I'm calling all my agents, or what I'm telling the agents to do, because it's working really well for me, is I did a post last week as a test. And I said, a lot of people after this are going to make a very big decision. What is that? So I'm literally just holding up my phone and saying, hey, Mr. Smith, it's Mike Bjorkman checking on you. You okay? Do you need anything? Hey, listen, I have a question. When this is done, most people are going to make a very big life-changing decision to be happy and to move forward in life. What is yours? And I'm not giving them any options.
Right.
And a lot of those people are referring back saying, I want to move up. I want to move down. I want a vacation home. I'm going to be moving. And, they, like I said last week, they're feeling safe and secure since the recession. And now everybody's like, forget that. So the agents in my groups are loving this. It's working. It's working for me. I have so many listing leads from just the last 2-3 days. It's ridiculous. And we're just banging out the database, just getting ready and building that pent up stuff. So at least we're identifying now who's going to be our A's and ones when it comes time to call. So if you're an agent listening to this, that's a really good way to follow up with your clients this week.
Thank you, Mike. I love you, brother. You're a leader and we appreciate you very much. I'm going to wrap up the call now. If I cut off anybody, I apologize, but I promised on time. And I want to leave these last 3 things that the responsibility lies. We have a primary responsibility to ourselves and our family, right? And then second, we have a responsibility to our clients, present and future. And third, we have a responsibility to the national economy. Everybody has needs, right? And every home sale employs 27 people in the United States. Think about those numbers for a minute. Keep people employed, act responsibly. And I just appreciate all you leaders being here. I really, really love and admire you. So thank you for taking time out of your day, and we'll see you on Thursday.
Take care, everybody.
All right, guys. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Thank you for being here. Bye now.